Speaking of Israel, though, actually, we should acknowledge the
Huge
great
day.
news that after 2 years, there is finally a ceasefire in place that seems to have a lot of promise, and we're all just so hopeful that for peace to come to the region, for this all to stop, for the Palestinian people to rebuild, to be able to live, to mourn the tens of thousands of children and others that have died, and all the hostages were released, all the living hostages were released. 20 of them. It was last night, right? Last night in our time,
yes,
early
our time
morning.
last night.
It was an emotional. The whole country has just been kind of like
Literally, the
on
whole
edge.
country was
Yeah.
out yesterday. I was watching, and it was just like they couldn't sleep. They were
Yeah.
all just out waiting for them,
Yeah.
and it was a huge day.
I think it's going to be like a national holiday.
It should be.
Because I remember when I was living in Israel when Gilad Shalit was freed,
Yeah,
and that was one guy,
right.
right? And without all the context of this insanity that's been, thank you so much. So we've got the and 2,000 Palestinian prisoners were released. So we did this massive exchange. There's a ceasefire in place, and Trump is there yucking it up.
Trump is loving
He's
it.
getting laughed, But I really hope, just pray that this is going to hold, and that Gaza is able to rebuild peacefully into like a sustained peace and mutual interest in fucking having a peaceful future. Yeah. And I do want to acknowledge just the unbelievable toll, the loss that the people in Gaza have suffered. Literally tens of thousands of children killed, and may they never be forgotten. The amount of pain and suffering, the amount of loss that the people in Gaza have experienced is unlike anything almost anybody alive could even imagine or empathize with. It's just the scale of loss is just Goliath, and so wishing whatever peace and moving on to them, and hopefully, I think the best situation would be like a coalition of interested countries: Qatar, Egypt, Saudi Arabia. I don't know if they're involved. I don't know whoever, but like, were they ensuring that there's a peaceful transfer of power and that the violent factions of Hamas are removed, and that a ton of money is going to flow in to rebuild. You know what I mean? To rebuild infrastructure, rebuild houses, to invest in the people, and that that somehow leads to a brighter future. But all we can do is hope. But one thing I can say is that I am so fucking glad, at least for now, that there seems to be somewhat of a fruitful ceasefire, even though there's some uncertainty in regards to, like, there's been a lot of like fighting in Gaza amongst Hamas factions and like clan factions. Hamas has been doing like mass executions of supposed Israeli collaborators, which has caused a lot of fighting amongst Hamas and other clans there. And there's also different factions. There's like a militant, kind of like jihadist faction in Hamas, and then there's like a more pragmatic, like governance faction in Hamas, because Hamas, they were the whole game in Gaza, right? That was the government. They were in charge of everything. So anyone who wanted to help, anyone who wanted to serve the people had to affiliate with Hamas one way or the other. So there's a lot of variety, or a lot of, what's the word? There's just a huge swath of different types of people that are involved and just hoping that the peaceful, pragmatic ones are the ones that prevail, right? But that's it. All we can do is pray and just be happy, relieved in the moment that there's been some reprieve for now. And I've personally, I've stated this opinion, and I believe this opinion that if the hostages were ever released to Israel, that the war would stop, that they would stop the aggression. So it's on them. As far as I'm concerned, they got the hostages back. It's on them now to show, right, that the willingness for peace, right, and the willingness to want to rebuild Gaza in a way that is a sustainable and a prosperous future for everybody. So I'm very much looking to the government of Israel to not fuck this up with the ceasefire, and we'll see. Nothing else really to do but just see what happens, right?